Hello, Mrs. Norman here at your service, as usual. Wonder what you've been up to. It's Wednesday, so I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday, or hope you're about to have a wonderful Wednesday, or whatever day you're watching this. I hope you're having a good day. It's actually Monday morning here, and it's quite early. The sun's not up yet. It's 6:14. Mr. Norman went to work a little while ago now, and I'm just about to clean the kitchen, so that just gives you a little insight into what I'm going to be doing today. Bit of cleaning, bit of ironing, quite a bit of reading. I love reading, and in the school holidays when you're not allowed to do much else this time, I'm going to make the most of it. I've got quite a few books lined up. I wonder if you have as well. I bet some of you have. I just love to read. I'm learning all about South America in the book I'm reading at the moment. I'm learning all about how hard life is for some people. Do you know what? It's quite a good thing to do every now and again. Now then, Varjak Paw has been hunting and he has made his first kill. If you remember, I say that every time, I'm sorry. If you remember. Well, we do remember. They went to the park afterwards and there was nothing there for them to eat. And now I think we're going back to Mesopotamia, to another dream. Here we go. This is chapter 17. In his dreams that night, Varjak was back in Mesopotamia. The date palms swayed in the warm breeze, and the cinnamon smell of cooking filled the air. He looked down at the river where the moon and stars glimmered so big and bright he could almost bite them. This river is called the Tigris, said Jalal. One day I will show you more of the Tigris, for it can teach you much. But tonight we must practice the fourth skill, slow time. The old cat seemed to shimmer for a moment. Varjak blinked and the shimmering stopped. What was that? Slow time, said Jalal. I can move faster than you can see. Varjak's eyes widened. Slow time was a skill the elder Paw had talked of. Slow time, moving circles, shadow walking. Oh, teach me, Jalal. Slow time begins with breathing, explained the ancestor. So first of all, you must learn to breathe. Count your breaths. In, out, in, out. You see, you breathe fast and shallow like most cats. Breathe more deeply. Yes, use the whole of your lungs. Good. Now count. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. They sat by the rippling Tigris, breathing slower and slower. Slower, said Jalal. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Good, very good. Slow the stream of your thoughts. Once you're in slow time, everything will seem to slow down around you. But you will be fast. You will be faster than anything. Varjak looked up at the Mesopotamian sky. He could see the starlight bending across vast distances of space and time. A strange energy pulsed through him. His body felt light, light like light itself. The slower you go, the faster you are, said Jalal. You feel it? You slow yourself down. The energy throbbed in Varjak's belly. Jalal's voice sounded like it was stretching, melting, radiating in every direction. Do not be alarmed. This is slow time. Now practice the skill. It's quite a short chapter. I'm just going to have another sip of my morning tea in my lovely mug. Isn't that a pretty mug? £6 in Waitrose, just so you know. I think we'll have another chapter. Chapter 18, let's see what happens next. Oh, I'm starving, grumbled Tam, late the next night, back in their alleys. The three of them sat on a high brick wall together, thinking about food. Oh, my belly's shrinking, I can feel it. Me too, said Varjak. That mouse was good, but it was only a mouse. You're right, said Holly. This is getting serious. It's time for drastic action, and I've got a plan. She looked Varjak up and down. First of all, though, you've got to look normal. Tell me, Mr. Paw, are you ever planning to clean yourself? Varjak shook his head. He was outside. He didn't have to wash. At home, Mother was always washing me. I hated it. Well, you're not at home now. Here she goes, sighed Tam. I don't have to do anything I don't like, said Varjak. Well, you can do what you want, agreed Holly, but look at you. The people will notice. They'll think you're wild and they'll take you away. Varjak inspected his coat. She was right. He was filthy. The fine silver blue fur was completely caked with grime. I like it, he said, rather pleased with himself. Plus, she added, you stink. He didn't respond. I'm sorry, but you really do. Varjak looked at Tam, but even she was silent this time. Okay, he grumbled, reluctantly licking his paws. You sound just like Mother sometimes. He stopped after a few licks. Is that better? Holly looked him calmly in the eye. I'm not saying this to annoy you. I'm saying it because it's dangerous to look so dirty. You'll draw attention to us all, and you'll ruin my plan. Now do it properly, or I'm off. Varjak snorted, but resumed his cleaning. If you're a blue whatever it is, you should be proud of how you look, she coaxed. We are the noblest of cats, he muttered through a mouthful of mud, but the old boast rang hollow in the city. Would any of his family rescue a stranger? The elder Paw, perhaps, not the rest. So who was more noble, the blue or this spiky street cat who'd saved his life? The question bothered him. It turned everything he believed on its head, so he pushed it out of his mind and concentrated on his cleaning. All right, said Holly at last, that'll do. Varjak's fur was a dull grey colour. It looked very ordinary. It didn't look like the coat of Mesopotamian blue anymore, and he liked it that way. Now the collar, she said. You can't be a street cat with a collar. Come here. This was more like it. He'd always hated that thing round his neck. Holly gnawed at the collar. He was vulnerable, balanced on top of a wall with her sharp teeth just a bite away from his throat. But he trusted Holly. She'd rescued him. She was his friend. There. She moved back. Varjak wiggled his shoulders and the hated collar fluttered down. It fell through the bars of metal grill and disappeared into the sewers beneath the city. Now he was just another street cat with no ties, no family, and no home. Good, said Holly. You're one of us. If we run into them, that's what you say. Run into who? Said Varjak, though he knew the answer already. He grinned. Not that big, bad Sal. Please, cried Tam. You don't know what you're saying. This isn't a joke, said Holly. She sounded serious. Varjak stopped grinning. We have to pass near her territory to get where we're going. Remember what Ginger did to you? These cats are worse, much worse. They set off silently, each in their own thoughts. Holly led them through the back streets, always taking the ways that were quiet and hidden. But the light and noise grew stronger, and the further they went, the rumbling of the city was louder, harsher. Soon they couldn't avoid the dirty orange glare of streetlights. They were in the open now, coming up to a crossroads. Holly's fur prickled up fast. Hide, she hissed. They pressed themselves back into the alley just in time to see a column of cats patrolling the other side of the crossroads. Varjak's insides knotted as he saw them, and his cheek burned where Ginger had slashed him. Holly was right. They looked much worse than the cat who'd nearly killed him. There were 7 of them. They swaggered and strutted on the sidewalk as if they owned the whole world. The other cats got out of their way, scurrying aside as they approached. At the head of the column was a brawny Tom with stripy fur. Varjak caught a glimpse of his face. It was covered in scars. "That's Razor," whispered Tam, "one of her lieutenants." The three of them crouched silently in their hiding place, watching, waiting, until the patrol had passed. "Okay," said Holly at last. "It's clear now. Let's move before they come back." "This crossroads is the boundary," Tam told Varjak as they left the safety of the alley. "Don't ever cross it." "I won't," he said. There were no shadowy alleys where Holly took them. Instead, there were tall white buildings arranged in a square. In its centre was a water fountain and a huge stone column pointing up at the sky. Around the column's base there were 4 statues, one at each corner. They were statues of lions made of gleaming bronze. They were giants. Each paw was the size of a man. They had shaggy wild manes around their heads, proud, free, fearless faces. They were so powerful, so magnificent, so sure of themselves. "That's what we should be," whispered Tam. "What we could be," said Varjak. "They're great." They sat there for a while, just looking at the statues. "We can only come here late at night," said Holly. "During the day it's too crowded. People, cars, dogs, but at least it's neutral ground. The gangs leave it alone, which means they also leave those birds alone." And here's a picture. It's a pigeon to me. Varjak looked again. He was so thrilled by the statues he'd hardly noticed that the square was swarming with pigeons. Dozens of them strutted about beneath the moonlight. The more were coming all the time. The air pulsed with their trilling and cooing. "So tell me, Mr. Paw," said Holly, "how exactly would you hunt one?" And here's a picture, look. Varjak and pigeons. "How exactly would you hunt one?" "What do you mean?" said Varjak, suddenly suspicious. Was she making fun of him again? He'd never tried to hunt a bird. It seemed too difficult. "I mean, go and get one of those pigeons." It sounded like a challenge. He searched her mustard eyes. She didn't look like she was making fun of him. She meant it. "All right," he said. "I will." "Holly," said Tam, "that's not fair. Don't take any notice of her, Varjak. She's being mean again." "I want to do it," he said, still looking into Holly's eyes. She smiled. Varjak slunk into the square. He selected a bird and turned all his awareness onto it. He observed it with his eyes, ears, whiskers. Nothing it did could surprise him now. He and it were one. He crept towards the pigeon, stealthy as Jalal himself. In the whole world, there was nothing but him and his prey. Varjak sprang, and 100 wings came at him, 100 claws curved out, 100 beaks cawed in chaos. Panic! Varjak fled from the flock. He hadn't expected anything so fierce. His fur ruffled and his tail trembled. He hid behind Holly and Tam and watched the birds settle down from a safe distance. "Varjak," cried Tom, "are you okay?" He shook his head. "I told you, Holly, no one could do that." "Exactly," said Holly. "That's exactly what happens to me, every time. That's why even the gangs don't bother with this place. But I always think if we could just work out how to catch the birds, we'd never go hungry again." "It's impossible," panted Varjak. His pulse was still pounding. "Impossible." "For one cat, yes," said Holly. "And yes, we usually hunt alone. But imagine 3 of us hunting together. It could just work." "Well, that's the plan. What do you think?" "Yes," said Varjak. "I don't like the sound of this," said Tam. She buried her head in her paws and curled up to sleep. "Wake me up when it's time to go home." And there's a picture, look, of pigeon chaos. Goodness gracious me. Tomorrow is chapter 19. Gosh, and these poor cats must be very, very hungry by now. So tomorrow we'll find out if they manage to get any food. Well, like I said, I hope you have a great day today, or I hope you've had a good day. Whatever it is you're doing, I'm sure you must have lots of nice things to do at home. I hope you're keeping well and you're keeping safe. It's tricky at the moment, isn't it, keeping out of the way and doing what we're being asked to do. But it won't be for that long. And one day things will go back to normal, and I think we'll appreciate normal life all the more for this time. So I hope you have a happy day. And don't forget, you are incredibly precious. You're incredibly wonderfully made. Make sure you look after the people that you are all shut up with at home, and be good. And I will speak to you soon. Okay, really nice to see you. Thank you for listening.